Hello everyone, my name is Notepad and Anon and I write games for fun, so what are we doing today? Well, today we're going to be working on whatever the fuck this project's called. I'm still trying to figure out a good name for it, because there is none. Hi phone, this is a good start. And because I haven't had a good idea on what the hell I want to call this damn thing, it's kind of just stayed as Danmaku Yugi Flowers Touhou Edition. And will remain as such. One second. But yeah, on Wednesday, God, it's Friday already, isn't it? Ah, why is it Friday? Oh, Friday. So on last Wednesday, we decided on how to do things. So, what do I mean by that? Well, we have our very basic ideas right here. Now, what we need to do now is, well, we need to make it bigger. We need to expand this. We need to make this the perfect game possible. Now, the main goal as of today, the absolute main goal is, one, we need to make sure we got a core mechanic set up. Now, because of how we're going to do this, we're going to have the non-danmaku mechanic and the danmaku mechanics. Those are going to be the most important part. That's priority numero uno, and once that's done, we're pretty solid. But it's getting to that point, which is going to be a little bit interesting, because there is no logic to this goddamn universe. Toot hoot, the more I realize with it, is very confusing, but also incredibly simple, because there is no lore. But there's a lot of lore at the exact same time. So I'm going to have to improvise. And by improvise, I mean I'm going to have to bullshit. Which, hilariously enough, I actually was like, maybe there's some more, Touhou TRPGs. There's gotta be, right? No. Nah, there's this. There's like some weird RPG Maker games for like $30. There's let's see what role-playing games there are. Touhouverse. Not much. Oh no. This isn't what I need. Yep. It's almost kind of hard to understand how fucking huge this goddamn world is. But these are all of the games in one way or another. Mostly when you have TH1, highly responsive to prayers, to the current TH18, which is unconnected marketeers. Zune has not changed any of the look of the characters, though. He's just improved in his art style. We'll use the term improve very lightly, because he does have a very specific art style, and that one is, well, here, give me 1 second. Zune art. I need the Zune drawing guide to make my perfect. So, yeah, here's our, this is it. This is Touhou. And I have successfully broken Touhou down for you. And anytime you ever think to yourself, Notepad, what is Touhou? What is Touhou? What is Toot Hoot? What is this game? Just look at this drawing and understand that is it. Every single thing else is secondary. It means nothing. In the Touhou world, you are just everyone is a cute girl. If you're not a cute girl, who the fuck are you? Get the fuck out of my house. Do not look at my beautiful wife. but it is mystifyingly it is both mystifyingly complex, yet deliciously simplistic to actually work with, mostly because out of all these other games, you get so many different fan games, so many different ideas with it, that you can kind of do whatever the fuck you want with it. Like, these are just the fan games. They're still making shit. Shit's been coming out for years, and they're still making some. One was like one of what's the earliest, 2007, Battle Gaiden versus Tetris game. What RPGs do we have? We have, oh, a new get married to a Touhou character. Don't worry, we can bunk a Touhou game. RPG Maker games, 2006, a text mode roguelite, Touhou Angband. This is a thing. What the fuck? I hate it, but we're here now. This is what we have to deal with. This is something that mystifies me in more than a few ways. Was Touhou soccer? Why is there Touhou soccer? What? No, I'm looking too far into it. I am looking too far into this. I'm looking way too much into this. Because I really shouldn't. Because there's so much. Wait, they made Langrisser. I like Langrisser. That's a fun game. Man, they haven't made a Langrisser game in forever, and I feel really sad now. Time to fucking commit Sudoku. But Touhou is so expansive and so large that I can kind of do whatever the hell I want with it. So I'm lucky in that regard. The other thing that I am lucky with is that I do have something to base things off of, which is a novel concept in a few cases. Hence, Danmaku Yugi. We looked at this last time just as a brief look over, but we will be using this extensively. Mostly because this is the only TRPG currently in English, which is really weird. The only other game that, like, tabletop game in this is if we go to, it's a game called, it's a card game inspired by Touhou. Yeah, it's inspired by fucking Touhou, just as much as I'm fucking inspired by it. Which is like a card game. Can I buy Danmaku? I can buy Danmaku. That is a thing you can do. And there are playmats that you can buy. Wow. See, this is the beautiful thing. Is that by technicality, by like sheer like technicality, I can sell this game. As long as I get artwork, like Touhou games done for it, I am like artwork done for it, I can actually technically sell this fucking game as my own for actual money. And then when I fuse with Zune to become the ultimate life form, that'll be that. And that's just something we'll have to deal with. We can make autistic bullet hells together. It'd be great. But until then, this is what we got. This is the only thing we have, which is both very nice and very awful. So outside of the core mechanics, we're going to have to try to figure out, the best way to do like things like character creation. I have a few ideas how I want to do that. We also should probably worry about how we want to do like, how do I want to word this? We'll call it non-story game stuff. Because we're going to be basing this primarily off JTRPGs. That's the big That's the big thing. I'm going to be basing these off JTRPGs, meaning that there's 3 core tenets that I need to obey by this entire thing. 3 very core tenets. Is 1, game must be a simple... actually, what I should say is, game must be built for one-shots. One-shot / campaign play. This is important because that means we have to front-load character creation. We gotta put everything in there as fast as possible because you might only play this once. And if you play this once, I have succeeded. One second. My mom wants to tell me about Iceland, even though I made a video on Iceland making fun of them. I'm a good person. Let's see, what are we dealing with here? So we got to do one-shot campaign play. We have to kind of make the set piece work, because that is what a lot of JTRPGs work on, is the concept of like a set piece. If we use the idea of like a Call of Duty game or something like that, a set piece is like a big final thing. It's just like, wow, look, this is the main set that we're really working with here. In Shinobigami, for example, the set piece is the climax battle. It's when everyone throws down. It's like everyone rips their shirts off. It's like, it's time to fucking throw down. We're going to fuck some shit up. And we are ready to engage in ninja war, which that actual video, a little opinion, will be ready soon. No, I don't want to do stuff that. All right. The third major thing that we need to worry about, this is the other very important part, is the game has to be playable. It has to be playable quickly. Now, this one is where things get a little bit complex. These two, I can make that work. I can make those two things work. This one, though, that's where things get a little bit complicated. And the reason why that is because I can't put a lot of mechanics in. Like, really dense mechanics. Because, how do I want to even say this? People aren't going to want that. One of the core things I have to remember is that people are not going to be playing this. They're not going to be playing this for the quality of the mechanics or me. They're playing it because it's Touhou. That's just something that I have to understand, and I have to make sure right here that people who like Touhou and people who like TTRPGs, I need to get the maximum amount of interplay with these two, which may work, but overall there actually isn't. And that was like one of the really weird things about this, how popular this game is, and there's just no one's really done this except this guy, except danmaku, Yugi Flowers, and I am... If you go into this interview and be like, I want to learn a Touhou game, and this is the first thing you come across, this game is not good. And the reason it's not good is, well, for a few reasons. Most notably, it's laid out like this. It's very painful to read if you're like, oh wow, there's a lot of things, like what the fuck does the clover mean? What does the spell card rules? People go into this with D&D logic. aren't going to have a fun time because it's a very JTRPG logic, which is something I'm going to have to fight with. So this will be fun. Right? Please tell me it's going to be fun. It's not going to be fun, is it? It's never going to be fun. Actually, that does remind me. Actually, has to be playable quickly to an unknown audience. So with our 3 core pillars of concepts and play, which I'm just going to put over here. When will they let me do that? Absolutely not, because I cannot have nice things. We're going to be working with this. So currently I'm not committed to the attributes yet. Now the big thing is that there's a lot of these side attributes, and all these side attributes do something, which things get a little bit complicated. Because what they want you to do is select one of these. Like, these are just your basic, this is just your thing. Let's see, quick start, sample character chart. Yeah, these are all just sample characters. Now, one of the major things you could say with this game that I've kind of, reading it over again and again, I've kind of come to the realization of, is everything stacks on top of each other in very unique ways. Because let's say, for example, our basic one, we'll say this, the rosa, otherwise known as passion. Now, the main thing is with passion, that means we have our strength, intelligence, insight, and charisma. And guess what? They're going to give us our attributes right away. And when we select our substyle, we're also going to get our attributes right away. Skills are very strange, because sometimes skills do things, and sometimes skills don't do things. But we can work with this, actually. We can work with that quite a bit. Now, the mutterings don't mean anything. The attack range is not properly explained, because that's not the point. The point is to look at her now. Look at her. Look at this. Just look at her. Look at her. She's fucking adorable. I want to hug her, and then I want Chris Hansen to hit me with a nightstick and make me go to Epstein jail. This is just something you got to embrace. If you aren't ready to embrace this, things are going to get real complicated real fucking fast. And we went through this a little bit last time, but there are a lot of these. Like, this is almost half the book, is these. Like, a good chunk of the book is just these. And then it's like, here's this, like, almost unformatted fucking paper of, yeah, here's the Noosa, and here's a broom, here's a newspaper, objects of the outside world, a suppository. Yeah, suppositories in this book for some fucking reason. Equipment items. None of these do anything. None of them. The one thing we have to do. Items don't do things unless they do. And this means we're going to be honestly using a little bit from Shinobigami logic, actually. Shinobigami logic, which we're not going to actually have that many items. So actually, give me 1 second. If we open up, go to... we need to go to there, we need to go to there, and we need to look up, maybe I should actually... I also realized I called my Japanese TRPG folder called Japest. This is not on purpose. So, one of the big things about Shinobigami is that you have very few items. But that's the point. I forgot. They don't have real... Do they have an appendix? Of course they don't, because it's Shinobigami and we can't have nice things. Give me 1 second as I try to find our ninja outfit, our ninja gear. Where's our ninja gear? Just give me my ninja gear. I just want my ninja gear. No. I'd even take the character sheet at this point. God, I love this. Alright, so we've got all this. This is great. This is wonderful. I'm having so much fun right now. You have no idea. Please let it end. Please, God, just give me what I want. Where is it? Actually, no, I know what one's called. The Somafil. Ninja gear. There we go. So, these are the 3 items in Shinobigami. This is it. You don't get anything else. But that is to its benefit. You don't need anything else. And that means we're going to have a very limited set of items. But each of those items is going to do something important, which is going to lead to the main gameplay loop. See, the main gameplay loop of this entire project is going to be pretty simple. It's going to be, oh no, there is a problem. Characters investigate and converse. Converse. Build relationships. Get items. Danmaku, end. That's it. I have summarized the entire gameplay for you. And with that loop, the item section is going to be like right here. This is going to be where the main meat of the game comes in, right here. It's going to be, let's say, for like an example one. We'll use this as a basic concept. There is a conflict between the Earth fairies and the fire fairies. They are causing havoc. They're causing havoc, but aren't important enough for everyone else to deal with. Solve it. And because we're solving it, well, we gotta interact with the fairies. We have to interact with the affected. We need to assemble some gear. And then we need to Danmaku battle with someone. Let's make it someone. And that's going to be going to have to be an explicit note somewhere in it. Which is going to be, at the end of things, no matter what you do, you're going to Danmaku at the end. You are going to fly up in the air and start throwing shit at one another. And it could be, we need to stop the evil fairy. Or it could be, we need to just, blast everyone for fun, because this is what they want to do. They're just having fun. That's the entire game. Like, oh yeah, sorry, we're not actually evil. We're just fucking around because we're stupid fairies, and that's what we do. And it's like, oh, okay, we'll just do Danmaku, and we'll entertain everybody. It's like, cool. You just need to justify it. It could be like, hey, we're having tea. Hey, do you want to fucking throw down right now to test our strength? And everyone claps their hands, says, yeah, sure, let's go. Let's fucking do it. And then everyone Danmakus. That's that. So we're going to have a very limited So it's not good. Because, mind you, they don't actually explain what the attributes do in this game. That's fun. Yeah, they don't explain that. Yeah, how to make a character. Let's see. Main style, also record a special skill. Substyle, record a special skill. Abilities get 2 bonus points. Choose the abilities, distribute these points, record them on your sheet. Calculate, record danmaku, record dodge. Alright, we're going to make a character, because we can. What do the attributes do? Who the fuck knows? We're supposed to know, because that's logical. Do not assume anything. That's like step 1. Shoot the bullet. So these are going to be our 5 races. Well, races are a very broad term, but we're going to be dealing with demons, yokai, fairies, I-E-S, fairies, humans, and ghosts. Now, I want to keep the attributes fairly contained. I want things to go from like 1 to 5, maybe, as a fairly average thing. Like, a human's going to have like 1 in everything, kind of thing. Like a basic human being that they encounter. But since you're all cool, you're going to have higher stats, because guess what? You're all going to be yokai, demons, fairies, and all other things. Or I should say is powerful fairies, not just basic fairies. You're not quite Cherno level, but you're getting up there. So, what does strength do? So, we have to establish what strength does. This is raw physical ability. Raw physical ability. What does insight do? Maybe magical ability? Charisma. Talking ability, and intelligence is just going to be books ability. I'm not happy with those. I don't know how to fix them either. Let's see. What's Let's think about what we want the attributes to do. Let's just think about that real fast. So, need to be broad to cover everything. But allow for people to interact. We could do something like if we trade out strength, what would we trade out strength for? Because we want this to be more of your physical set of abilities. These are your abilities. This is me running up to you and punching you in the face. This is also my ability to take a hit. It is also my internal power, just how strong I am. So we could probably just call it, like, I'm stuck between body or strength. Actually, if I feel like being really, we want to do the language of flowers. What is strength? Let's do it. Symbolize a strength of character as well. A strength of character. I wonder, is power a thing? Physical. That ain't gonna work. So if you want to encapsulate body and your natural constitution, well, actually, look through the elements of Japan. We can use Godai. Actually, that could work pretty well. Yeah, let's use the Godai. Because if we use the Godai, we can actually do some cool things. And so, we can use Earth as our strength, as our strength stand-in. Insight we can use as... we can use that as a water. Tendencies, forward adaptation to change. Adaptability, flexibility, suppleness, and magnetism. Suppleness. That's a word. Flexible. Okay, so we can use water as our insight stand-in. We can use fire as our charisma stand-in. That's pretty easily. And wind can be our intelligence stand-in. Yeah, again. Well, these are also incredibly broad. And that's good. That means that we can actually use this as a void score, which is a non-attribute, but judges. Actually, yeah, no, we can actually add in void. Void, which is just what we can just call, dumb fuckery. Alright, so if we use these as our 5, that would give every single race something to pair with. So, demons are naturally going to be associated with... we can probably associate them with water. With fire. We can associate yokai with water. We can associate fairies with... void. Humans can naturally be earth. And ghosts will be associated with wind. Get it? Because it's the wind, and they're like the wind. Transitory. Did I come up with this idea completely because I watched Seth's video today on Amazing Cultivation Simulator? Yes, I did. That could be what we're looking for. So, Earth is the idea of stability and tradition. Also representing the character's raw strength and bodily integrity. Water, flowing and adaptable, representing the character's insight into the mystical world. And, inside the mystical world. Aggressive and forthright. Fire, representing raw, charming ability, and we'll call and force of personality. Wind. Transitory and ever-changing. Representing intelligence. As well as agility. Void. Dumb luck. So if we tie everything to that, that could actually work pretty well. So actually what we can do is we can do that every character is going to get a set amount of these that they can do. So if we want the average to be 1, if we want the average, so if we want the average to be 1, 2, we want the average to be 1. Naturally, we just give everyone 5. However, we want them to be a little bit over. So let's see, Japanese numerology. We can actually, yeah, we can give them 8. Because if we give them 8, so we have 8 divided. 8 divided, because again, 8's a lucky number. So if we use the idea of 8 being a lucky number, that among 5, that would lead to about 2 average. So if we use 1.6 as an average, most characters are going to end up with that. Actually, no, we do 7. No, we can't. We assign every character 7. 7 attributes among whatever they feel like, and then they're going to get a +1 based on their race. So, +1 to one thing based on their race. Humans get a +1 to anything. Because, you know, +1 any. Ghosts get like a +1 wind / void. Actually, that could be actually a kind of a weird thing. So you can always put it in your one attribute or increase your void by just representing your dumb luck. So that would be like +1. This would be what? No, they would be fire. They're not smart. Or void. +1. +1 water or void. Demons +1 earth or void. Humans can kind of put it wherever. What we can do is accept void. Humans get diversity. No, we don't get jack shit if you're another race. Why? Because that's cool. That's fine. And thematic. So, okay, so we'll use the Japanese Godai. That would work. So if you use the Japanese Godai, we can use a bunch of other things tied to it. So we'll do 7 base attributes to be distributed. +1 to a total of 8, dependent on race. So if we have that, we want majority of characters. They're not going to actually have much, so we need to come up with something completely different here. So if we come up with something different, what would be a good method? We want this to be really simple, so maybe if we really want to stick to it, we can do 1d6 plus attribute for successes. This 1d6 plus whatever your attribute is. Because we don't want characters to get too out of hand with health or anything like that. But that's where your spell cards come in. That's where your spell cards come in. That's how you truly are going to beat the shit out of someone. So if you do a d6 plus attribute, Do we want it? So if we do a D10 plus attribute, that means we would have 10 across the board, so it'd be a 1 in 10 chance. Let's do 1d10 plus attribute with a 5 up being an average, or maybe a 5 success, or maybe we want to do 2d6 would be 2d6 would default at about 7. 1d10 would default about 5. So if we do 1d10 plus whatever the attribute is at 5, that could work. Characters wouldn't really be able to hit that higher level of things, but once you hit 4, you'd be pretty much able to do whatever you want. But then why would you advance past? Well, you'd want to advance past for Danmaku battles. So if we're using this idea, so we want to do this for the main mechanic, and or we just say fuck it and do the GSS method. That could work. So actually, if we use this, if we use for non-Danmaku, let's actually break this up. Non-Danmaku. We might have to. Honestly, this may be a diceless game. I'm not fucking with you. This might be diceless. I don't know yet. It would be a unique idea. It would be faster. Pretty much the game comes in with the strategy elements. That could be interesting. Touhou, yeah, pretty much. It's So let's see. If we want to do non-Danmaku, we want to go with the diceless method. Well, let's. So with the diceless method, if we're going under, this is where things get a little bit complicated. But things always get complicated with me. You should know this by now. So, if we use the Golden Sky, we'll call it the Golden Sky Stories method. The Golden Sky method. When confronted with a check, characters with the correct value for the attribute or higher will automatically succeed. When confronted with a check, character with the correct value for a higher attribute, or the attribute or higher will automatically succeed. If the character does not have the correct value, I'm like slowly trying to adjust the music. I'm getting scared because there's some loud ass tracks in this fucking thing for some reason. If the character does not have the correct, let's say, does not have the correct attribute, or it is lower than required, what we can do is the character can expand their. So, how I'm seeing this, I got my deck of cards out in my hand. These are just for my own tentative sake. So, let's say I have 5 cards. These are going to be our importance level. Our spirit level is 5. Our important method, who we are, is 5. So, if I have those 5 cards in my hand, these are going to be my spell cards as well as all my items, everything. That could work, actually. So if we use the idea, so let's say we have our deck with a couple cards in it. Now, as we're going along with the adventure, we're collecting items. So we're only going to start with our. This is what I mean by the fucking music spikes. So let's say, for example, we have our deck. Our deck is only going to be, let's say, 5 spell cards at the beginning. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 spell cards in our draw pile. We want to collect items, though. So the GM might be like, all right, hey, you did well there. Have Spirit Orb. Hey, have a pill. Have a this. Have a that. Have a this. Have all these things. And that's cool. We like that. And every time we get something like that, we're going to add it to our deck. It's a little bit of a deck builder element to it. So we're adding that to our deck. We're bulking it up a little bit. But let's say we're at a place where we can't succeed at a check. What we can do instead is take some of our cards from our deck. We can discard them. We can preemptively discard them. So it's 1, 2, 3, and I boost my attribute up by 3. Now, when Danmaku begins, we have to draw up to our current spirit level. Let's say it's 4, so I drew my 4 cards. Actually, let's do a good example of this. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cards in here. I got 5 through game plan. I got my 4 base spell cards. So I'm putting that down. I need to do a check. But I only have a 2 and I need a 5. So I gotta take 3 of my spell cards, 3 of my cards in my deck, and put them in the discard pile. Now that I have them in the discard pile, I can't draw them. So let's say battle begins. I want to draw up to my 4. I've got 4 cards in my hand now. And I can play them. And each card is going to have a cost. So it's like, okay, this card is going to cost 2. So I need to use this one and another card, play it into my discard pile. I'm like, all right, I'm going to draw back up to my 4 in my hand, and then here's what I have. I'm like, okay, next turn around, I'm going to only spend 1. Like, all right, I can't draw anymore. This is bad. Instead of just having stuff from Mulligan or something, which you can do, instead of suffering from something like, say, Mulligan, what you would do at this point is that you would have to take an action in the middle of the fight to turn all your discards into real cards. This could get very interesting because you got 3 cards. I'm like, okay, I gotta spend 2 right now. I'm spending 2. I only got 1 card in my hand now. I got all these discard cards, so I have to put them all in there. I gotta shuffle them up, and then I gotta put them to the side, and then I'm gonna draw back up to my 4. So it's like, all right, got all my cards, got all my cool stuff here. So that could do it. So if we're not in a fight, and we run out of cards in our hand, let's just say we run out of those 4 initial cards, we have to succeed at a check early on. They're all going to our discard pile. We're going to have to take a rest. We're going to have to spend a scene resting, relaxing, eating, doing something simple. Not really advancing the plot at all. Not really doing anything, which could be bad. Very bad. Because we're not getting items, we're not getting information, we're not doing something. So we got our 4 cards here, and then we put them back in our deck. We continue. Good God, Notepad, why do you impress yourself every now and again? God. That solves all our problems. So, correct that lure. Scarred from their spell deck. Do Touhou girls need to eat? Funny thing you mentioned that, Ajax. They technically, some of them don't. But they eat anyway because they enjoy it. That is a plot point. That is a literal plot point in this fucking thing. Tie an undramatic mechanic into your... What do you mean by tying an undramatic mechanic into your... Okay, actually, no, I know. I get what you mean. Well, one of the core things about Touhou, and one of the things that people in the Touhou thing understand, is there comes a point of relaxation, and I even said this very early on when it comes to like the things that we have to accommodate with this, is that the people who are going to play this game, the people who are really going to be like, it's time to play some Touhou, are the kind of people who are going to look at the cutesy art and do things. However, Ajax, that's where things get a little bit complicated. But let's say you are on a time limit. Hey guys, the fairies are destroying town. They are wrecking things, they're breaking things. And you aren't. You are sitting there on your hands doing fuck all. Alternatively, what we could do is we can embrace the concept that inherently the characters don't need to be entirely together all the time. And that everybody is also kind of working against one another for this big fight. So, character A might need to take a break. Character B, on the other hand, who isn't needing to take a break at all, is getting items to add to their deck. They're doing things, they're getting more options, getting more ideas, getting more things for them to do for the big battle. Taking a break does fuck all for you, except give you your cards back, so you can succeed at checks. So it becomes a game of thinking and of wondering. Do I take a break now? Do I sit back and relax? Yeah, it's Touhou logic. That's all you gotta wonder. Like, anytime you're like, that's kind of weird, just understand that it's toot. And there are some, kind of looking in, there were some odd parts of that world that are very strange. Because, like, one of the main girl, Reimu, or, well, tentatively main girl, it's Reimu like, her special ability is the yin yang orbs. That's her big thing, is that she can pretty much call upon the power of fate to do things for her. Now, one of the things with that is that she can eat things and not get fat, so she eats a lot of sweets because she's a tiny Japanese girl. I'm not fucking with you when I say that's the plot. Touhou is weird. It is very Japanese, and I guess it's one of those things where it's like, if you didn't need to eat, you wouldn't want to eat anything that isn't pleasurable at that point. Like, this is some good food, I'm just going to eat this. Or, this is some shit food, I don't like eating this, so I'm just not. She's right at the very beginning, I think. Yeah, she's right at the very beginning. She's about to take a bite of the apple, and then she doesn't. And then the rest of the plot happens. Do I know what that video is about? Absolutely not. From their spell. Discard from their spell deck. Cards. Yeah, plot? Like, there was like a 20-minute video picking apart all the details of that video. I'm like, the fuck is this? What do you fucking mean? It's a goddamn music video. It's like, here's my in-depth analysis on this. I'm like, what? I thought it was too. But apparently there's more. I didn't watch that video because I have a life. Not much one, but I do. Let's see, characters don't have any cards on their spell deck. We'll have to spend a scene either resting and relaxing, or consume a, quote, pill. Have I ever made a game with the standard deck of American, French, or Italian playing cards? No, but I've been wondering on how to do it. I have a few ideas. Tokyo Nova gave me actually quite a few ideas. And I think I would really enjoy. Trying to make one. It just gets a little bit hard to do because you can't really test anything online. and you have to test everything in with I'm lucky I have a physical deck of cards, but it's like kind of hard to imagine some things. I can't just go into one of the Discord rooms or whatever, or just roll some dice and be like, here we go. Oh, the new Seth video? Mwah. Very good. I am surprised, though. I am very surprised he didn't go more into the cultivation bullshit, because cultivation bullshit is hilarious. My friend is obsessed with cultivation stuff. He loves them. Like, actually, I'm curious. Let's do a little bit of investigate. Cultivation TRPG. Is there one? Not really. Yeah, it's like you get things like Legend of Wulin. Like, oh boy, here's Big Eye, Small Mouth. Like, the weirdest thing with this, esoteric bullshit games are the best. Trust me. Like, the weirdest thing about cultivation, here, if you want to hear, like, this is Notepad's hot take of the fucking year, but if you want to run a cultivation game, and I mean like a weird cultivation experience, play 5th edition. Yeah, play D&D 5th edition. You need to fluff things a little bit different, but the entire idea of you getting exponentially more powerful just the more you train and do things, it works. Hey, you're level 3 now, but you're now level 4. It's like, because you've gained power. The only major thing you need to change is you need to change the magic. But once you get past the magic, it works. Oh no, I can no longer, I'm at my limit. I can no longer level up past level 6 or whatever until I take the magic pill to become better, until I cultivate my energy, and now I can become level 7. You're seeing it now, can't you? It works. It is so bizarre. It works perfectly for that thing. If you use 5e and that exponential power growth, hell, you can even justify having, like, oh, what's a paladin? Yeah, don't worry, I just serve a god, and I'm really cool because I'm super powerful. Ha ha ha. Or it's like, hey, yeah, don't worry, I'm just a tricky rogue. I don't either, but honestly, if you were to do a cultivation game, that would be mwah. That is how I would do it. If you were to put a gun to my head right now. Though if I were to do a full cultivation game, that would be a complete nightmare made on wheels. Which I would probably have to yell at people. Thing is, I know I would yell at my friend who loves all of that cultivation stuff. He adores it. He's read all the books, he's read all the things. I would need to consult him, and I would engage in many long conversations with him just to pick his brain about things. So let's say there's no cultivation TRPGs. Which, actually, I'm curious. Chinese censorship laws. Censorship guidelines. Wuxia? Is there any difference on Wuxia things? I mean, it sort of is, but it's back in like the 30s. Uh-huh. I always forget Winnie the Pooh. God bless Chinese censorship laws. Cultivation Gacha You can play Gacha Nirvana Seekers like that if you really want to. Like, there's no, like, pressure to really play it the way I wrote it. But if you want to do cultivation bullshit, go for it. Ever play Microscope? No, I've never played Microscope, but I would love to, with me and my guys to play it. I've been wanting to pitch a Quiet Year to them for so goddamn long. Because Quiet Year is built on that same engine, you could say. I don't think it's the same game or anything, but it does have its own unique method to things. Or consuming a quote item or consuming an item to get back a card or two. Collaborative assistance. Is important. Having characters work together. Having characters work together to successfully complete tasks. Or hinder one another. Or hinder one another because they're awful people. So that actually works pretty well for what I'm doing. So we're gonna base everything off I think we're gonna base everything off the spell deck. Because I think that works pretty damn well for what I'm thinking I want this game to be like. It's not gonna be heavy. I don't want it to be a heavy game, so that's fine. Just, do you succeed or do you not succeed? That's it. We're basing everything off the deck. Oh, that's always a bummer anytime there's a fight among a group, but yeah, there's a few games like that. Let's see. I mean, there's the Quiet. Oh God, I just hit the wrong button there. See, let's see. There's the Quiet Year, which I don't call a Quiet Year an RPG. I will never call this game an RPG, but I also have a very specific definition of them. But like, I would be really interested in this. Like, this would be a fun one, or it's like a oracle, or like the oracles and stuff like that. What's the other world building games? So it's like world building RPGs. I know there was a few. There we go. Never heard of that one. Never heard of that one. No. Microscope. Dawn of Worlds is apparently really good. 1,000 Years Under the Sun. Never heard of that one. You know what? You know what? You know what we're gonna do? Curiosity is, hit the bone. Open up this. We're gonna find where's the scripts. All the scripts. So many scripts. We'll do a curious case on one of these. I think that'll be fun. The curious case of world building RPGs. So let's see. We can probably do Dawn of Worlds. 1,000 Years Under the Sun. Icarus. I did see a video on dialect. Let's see, the legacy weapon for the queen. So yeah, that might be fun. What if I run something like that on my Discord? Maybe. Maybe not. It's I honestly, here's the funny thing. I use my Discord pretty much just as a platform to talk about design stuff. See, if you want to hear some ancient memes, it's way back in the day, back in high school. I actually did stuff like that. I did like a really jank version of it with a couple of my friends from high school. We had like a collaborative Google Doc, and I just said type whatever the hell you feel like in it, and we'll see what comes up with it. One fucking guy made everything, and it was horrifying. Oh my, shine on, Crazy Diamond. Yeah, no, actually, you know, well, I'll go hunting around for some of these games. I might be able to find something interesting with them. But we're not worrying about that right now. We're worrying about you all. So we actually need to... So if we put you right here, what we need to do at this point, we need to find/get additional cards for the spell deck. So we need find/get cards for the additional spell deck, and there should be a few dummy cards. Though here's the funny thing. Half of me wants to use a deck of cards right now for this, because I think that would be actually kind of interesting. The other half of me doesn't, because I don't know how I want to do that. And I don't want to use all that creative juice on fucking Touhou for reasons. So I'll think on that. I might make it as like a side rule. That wouldn't be a terrible idea, actually. Basic melee attack and bullet attack. So spell cards are the main method of attack, will cost cards to use. So actually we're going to put this, the spell deck. Spell deck is used during danmaku battles. And the spell cards are the main method of attack. Cost cards all characters have a basic melee. Basic melee and basic bullet attacks do not cost cards to actually use. Like, you're not playing anything when you use them. The problem is you're not playing anything to use them. And it's like, well, I still have these 4 or 5 shitty cards in my hand, and I'm not doing anything with them. So it's like, ta-da. Maybe using a deck of cards wouldn't be the worst idea I've ever had. It would solve a couple of my issues, but on the other hand, I don't know. What I was thinking for the power cards. So let's say, let me just bring out a few cards right here. So let's say I have, I drew really good cards if I was playing fucking poker, but I'm not, so I don't need them for what I'm doing right now. But okay, I have a 3, 10, 4, and a King of Spades. But let's say I have a spell. Oh, did Discord die? No, Discord didn't die. Good. Yeah, Discord's just quiet today. But let's say I have a 10 of spades. If I have a spade spell, I can play the 10 of spades, and then I'm going to start shooting shit. I'm going to do... See, the thing is the things that gets complicated is what I could say is I can put it down, and it would be do 10 damage. It's a 10 power spell. Take my ball and go home now. Yeah, it's pretty much what I would need to do. Yeah, that would anger people. That would anger. I've been banned from 2 Discords. Actually, no, I've been banned from 1 Discord, because I got into an argument with the main guy, Chad Walker, and that's actually, I have sworn my eternal vengeance upon him, because he told a random person on a phone call, like, to go kill themselves because they work for the cops. This was a random person who was a telemarketer trying to get funds for a cop charity. And I said, hey, that's kind of fucked up. Mostly because he said, if I remember correctly, how he effectively worded it was, but it was okay. He pretty much justified it being like, oh, well, I was angry, so it's fine. You know, he didn't apologize or anything to the person. It was just like, well, I was angry, so it was okay. And like, I acknowledged my problem. Like, you still told a random person to go kill themselves. And that's kind of fucked up for no reason. Like, I tell people to go kill themselves, ironically, on the fucking internet. We're in a conversation with this person, like, just doing their fucking job. I call internet retards. Yeah, I call internet retards him. You know, to go kill themselves. I don't call real people that. Like, I hide my power level pretty well. He does not, I guess. And that's how I. And he always posts the one thing. Anytime he uses, I have a long running joke, and I can tell everyone this. I have a very long running joke. Is that anytime someone asks me what my politics are, all I say is that I'm a radical anarcho-monarchist with syndicalist Mormon values with pan-Slavic ideals. It's nonsense. It is complete nonsense. It makes no sense. But that's the point. It's to signal to every single person who can hear. Yeah, it's just like every single person who can hear understands it's a joke. If you don't understand it's a joke or take it seriously, you're a fucking idiot. Yeah, it's like I have an acute hatred of anyone who's like, oh, what are your politics? And that like defines who they are. It's not. Like, people are fine. I've lived by a philosophy for a very long time that everyone is my friend until proven otherwise. That means I am cool with everybody until you're an asshole. Until then, I don't want to deal with you. Until you do something weird or are an asshole, I don't want to deal with you. You're good people, though. I'm fine. I'm okay with everybody. I have been told repeatedly by some people, like, oh, this person's bad. Oh, this person's bad. Until I see it, until I actually have, like, physical proof sometimes, I'm like, so what? If I get physical proof and, like, someone does, like, honestly, and more than a few people confirm it outside of a small group, then I'm like, yeah, okay, I understand. But if not, no. I have a very strong opinion on that. I do believe people are naturally good. And it's always a disappointment anytime I'm proven wrong with that. That is Notepad's philosophy on life. People are naturally good unless they are not. That's a fine thing to live by. I've been burned a few times, but that's what you get for trying to embrace people for who they are. So let's see, we have the melee basic attacks, spell deck used in Danmaku battle, spell cards the main method. So if we use the idea of... Actually, here's what we're going to do. Let's get the little drawer out. So here's going to be what our spell cards are roughly going to look like. I'm going to put that up here. Then we're going to have the little grid with our main person and them shooting the bullets out. Pretty much the angle of attack for the bullets. And then we have the brief description. And that's that. Most of them are going to have none of this. It doesn't matter. All that matters is up here. But this is going to be where the cost is. And this is going to be what type of card it is. So you kind of immediately understand of like, okay, this is what it's going to be. This is how it's going to look. So if we use a... we'll use this, and let's just do like a really simple little grid thing. This is hard, so... Now, one thing I've been debating on, now this is where things get a little bit complicated, very odd, is do I embrace? Actually, I already got all this, already got all you. Yeah, actually, I don't need you anymore. Actually, I need you. Do I already have you? I do already have you. Cool. So, I don't need any of you now. Now, one of the big things is, do bullets travel? That's a very odd... Yeah. This is a very odd question to ask. Do bullets travel? Because what we can do is there's a few methods to the madness. So we'll just use this simple thing as the grid. So let's say this is us. This little circle is our character shooting it out, and I'm drawing as best I can in the little areas. So method 1 would be we shoot out our bullet, we have our distance, we have everything there. This is number 1. We shoot out our bullet, and it will cover from here to here. This is just say a distance 4. If you are in here, you are going to get hit. You are going to take damage. And then the benefit of this one is, pro, more, pros plus more bullet. We have more mods. Actually, it would, we don't want to do that here. So it is automatically hits. The other option is we have the bullet travel. So this would be turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, turn 4. Shut up, Miro. So every turn it travels. Now this could lead to situations where you can try to like snipe opponents out. Where it's like, if you run across them wherever the bullet is, you're going to take damage from it, and you're going to get hurt. This does kind of inflict the more bullet hell situation when you could be something like, half the battle map is now being filled with bullets, and you have to dodge them all, while kind of understanding where you are and understanding where they are. This is probably the most accurate method to the actual Touhou games. The problem is, keeping track of this is going to be incredibly difficult. Because we would effectively have to use like D6s or some kind of token for every single individual character and which bullets are which. Just to make sure of, well, this is a 4 damage attack and this is a 5 damage attack. I need to make sure if I get hit with this, I'm taking 4 instead of 5 damage. Unless we just make damage a raw value, but then at that point it's like, well, why bother? The other odd one is that we have a delay shot. We shoot it out. It takes 2 turns to actually shoot out. We shoot it out. We can move. We do something. Bring it, and it hits everyone in the path. The other incredibly odd option is, how do I want to? It is kind of more of a. Almost we'd have to adapt it to like a phase-based combat system, but it would be like, if you're getting attacked melee, you operate only on 1 turn. However, every every area out, you're pretty much getting different turn values. Instead of the bullet traveling, it's like on turn 1 you're gonna get hit here. Turn 2, actually free delete that. Where it's like on turn 1 you shoot at the bullet, and then on turn 2 everything else gets hit. That's gonna be incredibly strange to pull off, but it could work. But that would be almost entirely derived off of roll for enemy attacks, roll for player dodge. I'm trying to avoid dice. Like, right now I'm trying to avoid dice. The screen of damage idea is actually a pretty good idea. If I was making a solo game, like if this was explicitly going out of its way to be a solo game, what I would do is the player would be here, and the bullets would start flying everywhere at them, and they, as the player, your goal is to dodge out of the way of each of the bullets and try to go in here for your attack on the enemy. That's the entire idea. However, problem is I have to accommodate multiple players doing that, which kind of makes things a little bit complicated. Which, if I really want to, yeah. Now that's actually one of the things, the dodge and stuff that's actually in Danmaku Yugi. Is there's a dodge skill, and one of the reasons why this game is really fascinating, very fascinating, because there's things like because instead of having health, really you have tension. Yeah, no, it's oh god, there's so many. Oh Jesus, there's so many skills. Yeah, you get these like fucking unyielding means nothing. It's achievement value. It's an achievement skill. These mean nothing. And that's what I mean, like, some of these don't do anything. It's like, what is this? Like these, I think these are supposed to be like they're supposed to help you play the game a little bit better the way you want to. However, does not help. Let's see, the suit is damage. That might work. That might work, honestly. So let's think. So if we're assuming, again, let's say, 2 to 4 players. That's one thing we have to assume. There's going to be 2 to 4 people blasting, including, plus the GM. Plus the GM, which is always going to be the issue there. Yeah, we're not doing this insane thing, because I'm not literally insane, and in Danmaku battle, tension fills the air as tension increases, so does the density of the Danmaku. Tension gain rules. See the flowchart with their tension gain. Mm. Hmm. What shifting over to just a purely card-based game would be... That might be a good idea. I keep going back and forth on this one, just because... You need Touhou to make Touhou, you need to have the spell cards. That's the big thing. The spell cards are what makes the game the game. And so you also want to maintain the bullet hell and the atmosphere of it. The system you're proposing is actually pretty good. I don't know what's good for a... Wait a second. No worries, no worries. Initiative chart's fine. Flower stage, so we have the flower stage. Don't worry, I always listen to you guys. That's always the big thing. I always listen to you guys, just because again, you are seeing things that I'm not seeing. You're giving me ideas, and that's all I need right now. I need ideas. I need bodies to look at things. To make sense for this whole madness. Okay, what are the actions? Tell me what the actions are. Game, you don't have the action rules, do you? You don't have the action rules. Oh my god, they don't have action rules. Yeah, they don't have actions in this game. Yep, that's I noticed that. Oh, that's just great. God, I love shitty games. Okay. Because the idea is that you build tension to cast more spells to make things go bigger. And you're using these cards, to do things. Support spell, defensive spell, defensive spell. Actually, okay, we can work with that. We can work with that. So we want to do... So, creation procedure. Fill in the time. How many do experience points? So, yeah, we're going to have to build a spell card. So, actually, let's use... We can use a phase-based system. Okay, we can use a phase system. That could work. So if we use a phase system, by this I mean certain things trigger at certain times. We use certain things triggering at certain times. It would be something like... So first we determine initiative. So initiative, which is base, well, let's call it base, is going to be insight. It's going to be just a insight or... Yeah, well, it's going to be an insight check. It's about... Actually, no, it'll be a win check. So how fast and how quick on your mind you're going. Win check, and because it was a check, use those spell cards, act first. Go fast. And cycle your cards out, because that's fine. We go first. Actually, what we should do is placement, which we can do with a earth check, actually. So pretty much everyone makes an earth check first. So it's like, all right, I have earth 3, you have earth 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, whatever. I would place my person down first. I place down where I am first. And everyone starts placing down. So I can see... I know where I am. Everyone else knows where they are. You may think, oh, well, we want to put... we're going to you manipulate that. That's fine. Now, initiative is when people are acting. So you may want to put the Earth guy up front. So he's just going to be a big block of shit in between you and actually getting damage done. That's fine. That's okay. So, and then we're going to do the actions. And now we have actions, which is going to be P1, P2, P3, and P4. Phase 1 is going to be quick spells. And this is shooting, but quick spells are just going to be that. They're quick. They're the first spells cast and the first spells out. I have a spell that I can cast immediately and do a thing. Your basic abilities are going to be quick spells. P2, phase 2, is when fast attacks fast spells trigger. And this is going to be your attacks. These are going to be your fast spells. Actually, it would be spells fire. P3, characters move. P4, spells fire. Actually, we want to do spells start, spells fire. And then we can use the idea of spells lingering. And then the spell linger. So if we use this idea over here, it would be more aligned with something like, if I can actually find, it would look something like, so here's us. We want to fire a four length spell, so we would fire it out. Turn 1, it's not actually fire. We're allowed to move where we want to go, and then it would trigger on P3. At phase 3, the ability would fire. If it has lingering, that means anyone else who moves through it is going to take damage. If it doesn't have lingering, the second it fires, it's done. This does make sure that you can create situations where you can fire off a bunch of smaller spells at once and then get the hell out of the way. And then have enemies unable to move to intercept you, or forcing them to move in different directions. So that's where the danmaku aspect comes in, is going to be those lingering spells, because that's where people are going to want to start dodging from. And then you can also pair it up with your friends to do something like this, and then trap someone in there for another player to beat them with their hammer. They can't escape because they're going to take damage any way they look at it, allowing you to do the damage. So that's where the main nuances of the combat comes in. It comes the idea of forming these inescapable prisms. You know, these fucking prisms of death that makes it difficult to escape your actual attacks. However, the enemy is also going to be shooting out these prisms, and you can't really do that, so we can actually have the idea of friendly fire on. So if we use the idea of friendly fire, so spells linger plus friendly fire. So that would mean, so a spell card, quick spells are going to be a basic one. Your spells begin, your characters can move, and then your spells fire. So you're limiting your options here, here mostly. This is where things really start going wrong. And then, because we're adding more phases, we can actually add a 5th phase. We'll call it the punishment phase. This is where people take damage. This is where if you run across something, you're going to take damage. Now, if you're smart, you can possibly blast someone into something. So, if we're using our idea here again, it could be something like, okay, I'm going to use this. I'm going to fire off my spell like this. And if I can actually select the right key, I'm firing something there. They're not going away. The enemy is right here, and my friend is using an ability to shove him back into my damage. He's going to take all of that damage at the 5th phase. So there's a possibility that you can just fucking alpha strike a motherfucker. That is fine. We can work with that. Because you're shoving people around because they're doing the exact same thing. And it becomes a game of managing your hand. It becomes a game of finding out where the enemy is and exploiting that. That does mean we're going to have to do a lot of raw damage, and the idea is that you're not going to have these spells all the time. So it becomes a, well, what do you have? Oh god, you don't have what we need to make this work. So if we use you and then we use you, so this would be P3 and then P1, P2. No, that would be quick spell. That would be P2. Wait a second, I need to get rid of all these. I'm already forgetting my own rules. So this would be me firing off a spell, phase 2. Spell would be delivered at P4, and I would be able to move at P3. This does also mean that we could have spells, we could have abilities that shifted these around. You might have like a time stop ability, where everyone's movement except yours is reduced by 1 phase. If you use your time stop card, everyone goes down by a phase, or everyone in an area goes down by 1 phase. So your spells may not fire on P4. Your spell might fire on P5, the punishment phase. And we could probably... And if we really want, we can shove it down even further with the idea of P6, which is dead zone. And which is dead zone. So it's like you're getting shoved down, or you can be shoved up. You're like, oh, my things are firing quickly, but it could also hit my friends. Or hey, I'm starting my spells up on P1, but I have to fire still on P4. So it's like, okay, how are we doing this? Okay, so we've got that set up. That's actually not a half bad idea. And then we do, you know, have we won? Restart at actions. Now we're going to have some basic actions, really basic actions, which are all going to be assigned a p value. Just sometimes it's going to be, hey, I want the action to, like hype, which is +1 initiative, +1 initiative, which is hype. We'll label it as something like P3, and +1 int in initiative. That's it. Like, we're boosting our initiative up where I'm acting first. I'm doing something else. Actually, I need to use the gentleman's quarters for a second. So we've got the idea. The spells linger. The spells are going to be based on things on a phase system. So we're going to be basing things on a phase system. So we have base actions. So we have friendly fire. Okay, that doesn't really explain what spell cards do yet. So spell cards are going to have to be composed. So first thing spell card is composed of, 1, the name. This is important, but not important at the same time. Purely fluff. Purely fluff. 2, it's going to be composed of the cost, which is the number of cards that must be discarded. Discarded 0 cost cards mean that you reveal, and nothing occurs. Yeah, reveal, but mean that you reveal, but keep it in your hand. So a 0 cost card would be me saying, me having a card in my hand and being like, okay, I'm going to use this card, and then immediately put it right back in your hand after the effect is resolved. You're not discarding it. It's yours. Because it's either a really cheap, bullshit, stupid spell, or it is like an item, or it's like an ability that you have. This is my thing that I've gathered. 0 cost cards mean you reveal, but keep it at, and then so like 3 cost card means that you discard the card plus 2 others. 1 cost cards is just a discarding of the card. So we have the cost, we have that, and then we have the type. Type, which is either going to be defensive, offensive, support, defense spells, assist the player or their allies. Offense spells, assist, damage the enemy. Support spells, make things weird. And then 4, we're going to have the effects, which is going to be a plethora of different effects, I realized. But like the most basic one, it's just what the spell does. The fluff comes from up here. The fluff is right there. That's all that matters with that. It's fluff. However, let's do something with could be something like Sakuya's, Sakuya's time stop. That would be a support ability. That is something that it does. It's going to have, let's say, a cost of 2. And because it has a cost of 2, we can work with le investment, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, some banks and some sites are like that. It's just what happens. Usually when there's a lot of traffic or there's not very good infrastructure. Let's see, so 2, that means we have, let's say, like 10 spell points or whatever, arbitrary cost thing there. 10 spell points to spend on things, where it's going to be like, distant, actually, we'll do radius 3, which is going to cost like, I don't know, 6. And then it's going to be like reduce phase, reduce phase dash enemy by, by 1, which is going to be 4 or whatever. I don't know how I want to do that yet. Reduce phase enemy by 1, which is going to be again like 4. That's it. That's what we've done. This time slot, we have this ability. We choose the times. We're gonna be like, all right, we're gonna time stop. We're right here. We're gonna have a radius of 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Everything in this is officially fucked. Everyone loses one phase to all of their actions. Now, mind you, this is a 7x7 board, so it's going to be like, well, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, this is, wait, 1, 2, actually, 1, 2, 3. This covers the entire board, I realized. We're going to have to make that pretty expensive. But you might get things like this. Everyone loses one phase. And if we go off what the phases are, it's like, hey, everything is moving slower now. All my spell starts go down, all this. But she is still operating. It only affects enemies, it only affects other targets. So she can, like, oh, I'm going to start up my spell. Well, she's moving as she's starting up the spell. And she's already primed the spell to blast you an asshole, and you can't move. And now it's phase 4, and the fight has already, blasted. Everything has been already calculated. And you've taken damage, and since you've walked in it, and that's what you have to deal with. But but you can call this whatever the hell you want. This is time stomp, this is, her going really fast or something, like, supersonic or whatever. Like, there's a few options of what you can do with that. So, that's pretty simple. Most bullets won't have that, but let's do like Fan of Knives. We'll just do that as like an offensive ability. We'll do cost 1, 5 spell points. And then we'll select the Trove is fucking dead. And they took down Volaphile recently too. That was like an oof moment right there. But such is the way. Such is the way. Defend eyes cost 1, 5 spell points. I'm gonna change these fucking names. These are terrible names. Such is the way. I mean, there is the Trove Discord, which is a thing. Not much goes on in there, though. It's mostly people crying. Let's see. Finn and Niles offense, so it would be like Fan 2? Fan 1? Yeah, I'll do Fan 2. Yeah, the Trove has a... Yes. Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. Don't worry, Ajax. I got you, boo-boo. There you go, Ajax. I do it for you. I'm like hesitant to post it on like just the main just on my Discord, but yeah, that's just something. I haven't really had a lot of time to look around, but there's like there's thousands of fucking people on it, so. So it's like fan. So we would have to. Okay, so we would, so it would be, built from, built from spell points, SPs, based on cost. This does mean, though, going off our basic, card list here. So if, as a starting level character, if you want to play a 4-cost card, you got to get rid of all of your hand. So, do you really want a lot of high-cost cards? Not really. And even a 5-cost card, that's just not a thing you can do unless you have an item that reduces the cost. Which could be an interesting item to actually have, which is the idea of like this card once discarded counts as 2, for the purposes of spell cards. I'm like, oh, okay. Now the thing is, would you want to get rid of that card to cast a 2-cost spell? Not really, because you still got to discard that card when it's done, and then you're just playing that second one. That's where the catch comes in. It's like, well, I don't really want to waste that. While it's like, okay, here's a 3-cost card. I get to play it with the 2, so I only have to do, like 1, 2, 3. Ha ha ha! I've done it. I have the money. I have cast a free spell for on the cheap. So that would naturally limit characters at the beginning. So if you naturally limit them, they would be able to have a little bit more room to maneuver. And because they'd have a little bit more room to maneuver, that means if they choose to continue and build up their strength, when they have like 6 cards in their hand or something, it makes them, when they have to cast a big spell, it feels good because you can just cast this massive fuck off spell by slapping it on the ground and saying, fuck you, I am a Touhou, you are not. So you have a natural feeling of advancement. There you have the natural feeling of advancement. So we need to have, this would be the hardest part right here, getting all the effects for all the spell cards. And a majority of them would be like, this is the size, this is how the radius works, this is how this is how distance. So like fan 2, fan radius 2, actually fan distance 2 would be like 6 points or like 3 points or something, 4. Something like that. Just the idea of, oh, I'm using a fan to use an ability. I'm using a fan to... So it would be, if we go here, we're here. The fan would be covering here, all of these spaces. However, it would be like, oh, fan 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. You still have these gaps here, but that's something you're obviously accounting for. If you extend it to 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4, 4, it's like these big old ones here. And there are probably a few options what we could do for those. Something, we'll probably do like skips. You'll allow your friends to kind of maneuver through your own bullets. Forcing enemies to do that, or maybe you can have like waves, which would be like, I don't know how I want to do that. That's kind of weird. There's a few options of what you can do, of just like shoot bullets straight. That's all. That's the most basic ability physically possible. Just shoot the bullet straight. Isn't that Matt Colville's new book? Someone was bitching about it earlier. I've heard mixed things on that. And I'm like, alright, it's Matt Colville, 5th edition bullshit, so I'm like, eh. Actually, OSR. OSR stuff. My list of top 3 libtards yet. I've never really watched any of his stuff. All of his stuff always looks like, it's time for D&D. I'm like, this doesn't really help me from what I'm doing. It's like, it's time to OSR. I'm like, I don't want to OSR. OSR community terrifies me. So you can use... So what does a defensive spell look like? So a defensive spell would allow you to do... Okay, so what we can do... So like a defensive spell would be like a shield. So if we're moving here, I can stay there. I'm not going to get damaged by this if I have a shield. Now I can expand the radius of the shield and make it something like this. Nothing can get in but things. things can get into my shield and bat me over the head. So you don't want to really expand your shield out. Or you can just, you know, have things where it's like, oh, I'm going to tank more damage. Be able to just tank more damage. Or, hey, this is, you know, reflecting. Where it just reflects out. You know, reflects back. Or, hey, I get shot with a bullet. The bullet returns to you. You know, the bullet will immediately, you know, go a different direction of my choice. So I get shot from over here. I can redirect it to go this way. Which could lead to some interesting combinations with allies who can be like, oh no, I'm being threatened over here. I can't get a good angle on them. I have a shield up. My friend is over here. He can shoot a bullet at me, which can then ricochet off to another person, as well as covering our escape easier. But the main thing is everything is very claustrophobic. So if we use the idea of claustrophobia and we're trying to dodge around, that's pretty good. Kingdoms and warfare, strongholds and followers. Those are always one of my favorite players. My boy. I love this guy. He's been with me for years. I love playing with him. He hates anything resource management based, so that he would lose his fucking mind with. Colville's he's definitely carved himself out a little niche in there. I know the OSR guys love him. But, alright, so we've got... Man, he got on my case. He's the kind of guy who gets on my case anytime I have like a mana system. Like he does not like keeping track of anything outside of his own character sheet. Like I understand. And it's pain. Dramatic politics. I know there was a thread about the Game of Thrones, which was really weird. You know, 2 hours in the stream, I can do whatever the fuck I feel like. Let's do like Game of Thrones. That Game of Thrones thread that popped up earlier, which really threw me. Yeah, there's like an unironic Game of Thrones thread that popped up, and I was like, yeah, this is kind of interesting. If you can find a copy of this, of Sword Chronicle, I would be pretty neato burrito. Apparently that does a lot of things, but I also... Yeah, Sword Chronicle. Yeah, I adored I adored the Game of Thrones one, which is that the video is like almost it's coming along. It's just been really weird. I've been on a funk when regarding that for a while now. But okay, so we'll have to use the phase system. So if we use the phase system, okay. Think I know how we're going to do this. Think I know how we can, and I know we can do it now. We are going to make sort of 7x7 grid for most things. GM stuff I'm not too confident on, but what I may do is, say, like, the GM is going to, like, make their own, they're going to have their spell cards, and that's what they're going to do. Or have, like, a spread system. That could be interesting for them. Just the idea of, like, I want to, with the idea being that, like, the boss is always shooting. You know, the boss is always throwing shit at someone to do something. And with more, you know, every turn, no, every phase, they're going to be doing something different. They're going to have cards specifically for different phases. But they're also going to have, like, one card which is like, okay, I'm going to draw, like, randomly draw a card. And that's what the spell card's going to be this round. It's going to be, I'm going to blast everyone. Oh, okay, this one is. And, like, you can build a boss, which is like, on phase 1, they're going to shoot a bullet in this radius. On phase 2, they're going to shoot bullets like this. On phase 3, they're going to move. On phase 4, they're going to do this. Like, and at the very end, like, this is the spell they're going to cast. Yeah, no, I'm sending my way. Put them in submissions. I'll see if I can justify it, kind of thing. There's a few curious cases of things that I've been like, yeah, going back and forth on it. Why is this submission's been a shit show recently? I love it. Yeah, no, I've been curious about a few. Most likely, though, I will call the stream here for today, but I should go over at least. Like, curious cases wise, most likely the next one we'll be doing is this one, is Kickstarter Oddness. I need to find Outbreak Undead 2e and see if I can't find a copy of, like, even a playtest of the Queen's Cavaliers. But it's mostly going to be SCP, the tabletop game. Like, that's going to be, like, the big selling one, which, from what I've gathered, the game is not good. The game is really bad. And I'm interested in that just because it's SCP. I've never got SCP, never have. The big thing, though, is going over a couple of these ones, which are really odd. Like, the weird thing is, this company, Domino Magica, and Third Act Publishing, right here, is very strange, like, seeing this after 16, but this was like a 2018 project. This guy has had like a few fuck ups and his, like, just never went anywhere. Let me see, what was the one that really threw me for a goddamn loop? Satanic Panic. TRP, Satanic Panic TRPG. Like, this game came out like years ago, like, let's see, like March 2017. This came out in 2016 is when this launched, and I was immensely fascinated by this because I'm actually in his Discord for his other game, which is like Reach of Titan, like Jim McClure. Yeah, Jim McClure here. And yeah, Reach of Titan was his other game. And which Reach of Titan was a weird game, which kind of threw me for a loop because this one hasn't been delivered either. Did Reflections get delivered? God, I hope. Yeah, look, like this had to get delivered. Like, I'm curious to see if this is even like a thing that can be sold. Yeah, this guy, he is an interesting duck. He has never changed his profile picture. Where are you? Yeah, it's this very... very fascinating with this, and I would need to find this book. This would be one of the key things. I would need to find Reflections, a game of dueling samurai, and find whatever I can, because this game is not out. This game never is going to come out. Satanic Panic apparently got, like, handed off to another person who's going to be launching another Kickstarter for it, which is weird. Like, this game, there's nothing. You know, Jerry, there's a respectable position to have. I am, however, looking forward to my refund. Golden Rule. Yeah, it's very odd, because even with this one, it's like, it's clearly him, because they keep, you know, it's clearly him, but it's like, wait a second, part owner of Third Act Publishing. What? What? What is this? Like, what are you? Like, that's my question. Like, why are you the way that you are? And I would just like to investigate Third Act Publishing deeper, to see what I can find about them. Because that is what Kickstarter weirdness is all about. Finding weird shit. Like, there's these guys, Queen's Cavaliers. I would like to find stuff about them, like, and that's why I'm like, maybe I'll have to hunt for a, you know, game, because like, oh, Kickstarter, and it came out, but it didn't, because they canceled it, and like they pulled out, and there was some issue. Like, I'm very odd, but yeah, my name is Notepad and Anon. I hope you all have one for the rest of your day. If you ever need to get a hold of me, feel free to contact me on the Discord or whatever site you prefer to. If you have any submissions, well, you know where to put them. And I hope you all have a good day. I am, as they say, away.